Hi, this is Yvonne McNary with Central Kentucky Television, and I'm here today with Pigeon Deep. How you doing, Pigeon?
Oh, on a cloud still.
I guess so. Now I'm going to give our viewers a little background here. We've been waiting for Aaron to leave the prison.
And he has.
He has. Okay, that's where we're going to start. We're going to start from that, from where he has left and what's been going on since then.
Okay, he has left and he is in a halfway house in Louisville. And at first I couldn't figure out why in the world they send you to a halfway house. Why don't they send you home?
Yeah.
But as you know, I've told you in our conversations, I understand now why. After you've been in there for 18 years, you know, you need that halfway house because they had the connections and, you know, he didn't have any problem. They showed him right where to go to get his ID. They helped him get his permit. They showed him where to go to get it. They told him where to go. He has now...
That's his driving permit?
Yes, his driving permit.
Because he hasn't driven?
No, he hadn't driven for 18 years.
So he's going to have to start from scratch?
Yes, he did.
Do you have to get the little book and all that?
Yes. And do you know they don't give those out? You have to download them on the computer, and he didn't have a computer. So I had to print it off and get it sent to him and everything, because he studied for it while he was still in Manchester when he knew this was coming, and so that he could get it as soon as he got there.
Okay. So even if you can just pass the written part of it first, you have to pass that first anyway, don't you?
Yes.
In order to proceed.
And now, just this past Friday, he has now taken the test, and he made 100 on it.
Fantastic.
And so now he has his driver's license.
Oh. Okay, now how did he do on the driving test?
He got 100.
Was that difficult for him to get back into traffic again and all that?
Well, no, they do it different down Louisville. They don't get out on the roads.
Oh.
They have a place at, I think it's Bowman Field or someplace in that area, and they have a place marked off to where, you know, you do all the little things that we do on the street here, where they take us out on the roads and everything, where we're such in a small town. They have a little driving course set up there, and you go do your little driving course. Said it didn't take him 5 minutes. They told him to do a turnaround, and Emma said, "Do you know what a turnaround is?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I know what a turnaround is." And she said, "Well, I didn't know what one was." And I said, "Well, yeah, I know what a turnaround is. You pull up and then you back in." And Aaron was sitting there laughing. And then he had parallel park.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you about, that parallel parking.
Yeah, he had parallel park, and so that was interesting.
It was an adventure, huh?
Yeah, it was. That was the one thing that he was worried about, and he did practice on that.
So he got that taken care of. Now, even though he wasn't as successful riding the bus.
Yeah, he said he'll never do that again in Louisville. He said that was a disaster.
Tell him he was on the wrong side of the street.
Oh, he said that first bus ride, he said it was, if he cussed, he would say it was a bus ride from H-E-L-L because it was awful. He had no idea where he was going, got on the wrong bus, got lost. He said it was awful.
Oh, gee.
He said it was just terrible. He said he doesn't know how anybody rides buses. But he went in it without a
address from where he was going.
Yeah, he didn't have an address. He didn't have the bus schedule. Or, I mean, you know, he was doing this blind. You just go out, and after being in for 18 years, he doesn't know his way around Louisville and everything. And he said, oh, it was just terrible. And then he got lost, and it was, he called my niece. She lives in Louisville. She told him where he was, and she was at work, and she didn't have real good reception, and she left work, and she says there she was holding her phone up in the air. trying to get reception. Said he was in the absolutely worst part of Louisville. Said he actually got a little bit scared there because it was bad. Said, but he got out of there, and that was when he was going to get his identification about who he was. And he said on the way back, he did a little bit better on the way back. And the very first time that he got to go out, I'm trying to think what it was he got to go out for the first time. But anyway, as soon as he could, Emma, my sister, got him a map of Louisville. And he has, I guess, memorized that, because now he just knows where he's going and, you know, everything.
Well, that's great.
And it's just
amazing. Shows that it takes time. It takes time.
Oh yeah, and it's the little things. He took a shower over Emma's, and he came out, and people may not, you know, even realize this. It's just the little things. And he sat down and he raised his feet up and he said, "Look, Aunt Emma." And she said, "What?" And he said, "My toes." And she said, "Well, what about your toes?" He said, "I got to take a shower with just bare feet." And she was looking at him, and it was like, okay. He says, "You know, you don't get to do that in there. You have to wear, you know, shower shoes." And says, "And you can't walk around with socks or anything. You have to walk around with shoes." Says, "This is the first time in 18 years that I've got to do this." And boy, he was just walking around barefooted and socks on and just a grinning. And he and what was funny is he put a pair of socks on, and he came out of the bedroom. She has wood floors, and he tried to slide across. He didn't get very far, and I thought, "Oh, you little stinker." So I came up behind him, and I slid, and Emma started laughing and says, "You did better than him." And I says, "And I haven't done it probably in 25 years, Aaron." So anyway, we got a...
Yeah, well, it sounds like he's having some new old adventures.
Yes, he is.
Yes, indeed.
He is, and we're you know, making
progress.
Making progress.
Okay. Now, what is your next big date that's coming up?
The next big date will be April the 18th, and that will be the very last day.
Okay. Very last day of any type of incarceration, anything.
Right. He will be on, he will have a parole officer, but that goes into something entirely different. He won't have to, they have guidelines, but you know, he'll be able to go out to eat, and he won't have to stay in the house and call and say, you know, "I'm leaving to go to church," or "I'm leaving to go get my hair cut," or have permission beforehand. If he wants to ride to Lebanon to see me on the weekend, he can just get in the car and ride to Lebanon.
Because at this time he can't do that.
Right, he cannot do that. Okay. And we put his address as Louisville at my sister's so that he could have more of his time because of the distance to where he lives. And we didn't want him to spend it in a vehicle.
Yeah, on the road.
And we wanted, you know, what was best for him. And this weekend he got 2 15-hour days, so I picked him up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he had to be back at 8:30, I think, at night, and did that Saturday and Sunday. And he had asked for a special pass to go eat with his brother at Outback Steakhouse. So they went Sunday, and he really enjoyed that.
Wow.
And they asked me, and I says, "No, I think it's time that y'all have a little brother time." I said, "You know, y'all just go by yourself. I'm staying here."
That sounds wonderful. Well, listen, I'm going to back you up just a little bit. The halfway house. How does that working for him so far, living there?
It's going well. They have a counseling session once a week with him and everything to see how things are going. And you have to earn your home visit times and everything, and you have to accomplish things to get up to a next step. And you know, he's accomplishing them, and I think he's doing real well. I can see a big difference in him. I know the first time they got in the car and was going to drive, I kind of looked away because I noticed his hand was shaking a little bit. I didn't want him to know that I saw that. So, I just kind of looked away. And, he's getting more confident. Like this weekend, I did not go to the bank with him. That's first. So, he's getting more confident because, and the reason why I say that is he has to go to the bank every week because where he works, they do an automatic deposit, but being at the halfway house, he gives where he works at, where he's staying at the Dismas, he gives them 25% of the gross amount of what he makes, and then he has to put 10% in his savings, and he has to get a print off that he's done all this, and he has to get a money order for the 25% to give to them for staying there. And anyway, he does all that. Every Saturday is when he does that, goes and does that.
Well,
so
just like you
anyway,
and me doing our banking. Just like you and me getting all of our things done, or getting all of our business done.
That's it.
Yes.
And so anyway, I mean, it's different and everything, but at least this weekend he was able to, go and he did all that himself and everything. Even the week before that, when he went in, he wasn't as nervous, going in. So, I stood back. I know that first week I went right up with him and everything, to do everything. The second week I kind of stood back. And the third week I went in, but I got me a cup of hot chocolate, and I was there in case he needed to say, "Hey, Mom." And then this last one, I didn't go. So, it's a little bit of breaking away. And I let him set the pace on, what he wants. I just, let him decide on, whether, he wants me there or not. And, and I told him from the beginning, I says, don't be afraid to ask, but then don't be afraid that you're going to hurt my feelings by saying, I can, you don't have to come. I don't have to be there for, everything.
Okay.
And everything. In fact, I like to see him, be a little more dependent.
Independent, yes.
On
well,
each
Pigeon,
step.
We look so forward to having Aaron here for an interview.
He will be here. I was hoping that Gary would get to do this in Louisville, but Dismas kind of said no to that. He had to wait.
Okay, let's
until
tell our viewers
afterwards.
what happened. I know he had some radio interviews.
He did. He had a radio interview, and they even interviewed head of Dismas, and they were asking about Aaron and everything he was going to be doing and everything, why he was there, and interviewed Aaron. And, you know, all that was asked about beforehand and everything. And, you know, we didn't see anything wrong with that. And, but he was in our possession, I guess you could say, when all that took place. And, but anyway, they called Aaron into the office and said that he had to get permission for any interviews or anything like that. It had to be pre-approved by them and the Bureau of Prisons. So anyway, we've just elected to wait until after April 18th, and then we don't have to worry about them.
Fantastic. Well, listen, give Aaron our regards.
I will.
Best regards.
I will.
And tell him that we look forward to seeing him and talking to him and seeing what his future plans are.
I sure will.
Thank you, Pigeon.
All right, thank you, and thank everybody out there.
This has been Yvonne McNary for Central Kentucky Television.